So in the previous class, we were discussing about a chapter from business studies, and we have also covered a chapter from economics and political science. In history, we have covered three chapters already. So today I have chosen chapter 4 from history, that is ancient civilizations of the world. In chapter 3, we were discussing about ancient civilizations of India. In that, we discussed the Indus Valley civilization and Vedic period. Today, let us know about ancient civilizations, those flourished in other parts of the world. So, let us concentrate more on Asia and Africa, the civilizations which were flourished in Asia and Africa. So in Africa, you see Egyptian civilization, and in Asia, two civilizations you are going to study in this chapter. They are Mesopotamian civilization and Chinese civilization. So uh, many other civilizations flourished in various parts of the world at the time of Indus Valley civilization. So they include Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, and Chinese civilization. Let us discuss these three civilizations in this chapter. In this video, you are going to learn about Egyptian civilization. Let us take Egyptian civilization to study first. So this world map, you know the continents. The uh, Egyptian civilization flourished in the continent Africa. So it is towards the northeast of Africa, so near Nile River Basin. So the time period is 3500 BC to 30 BC. That old it was, 3500 before the birth of Jesus Christ to 30 BC. Okay, so the important cities of the civilization include Thebes and Memphis. So contributions we will discuss in this video. The important river, or the river which is uh, responsible for the Egyptian civilization, was the river Nile. So it is the gift of the Nile. Nile River Valley that runs south to north in northeast Africa, towards the northeast direction of Africa. It floods yearly from July through October. So Egyptian civilization owes its life to the Nile. So it provides water and food in the desert. So you already know almost all the civilizations flourished near the river valleys. So in the same way, even Egyptian civilization flourished near the river Nile, in the river valley of Nile. So uh, during the rainy season, the Nile River used to flood. So the Nile River would transform the Nile Valley into a huge lake because of the floods. So after the valley dried up during the summer, a fertile layer of clay soil would form the grazing field and neighboring agricultural land. So once the uh, river valley dried up in summer, because of the floods, the alluvial soil which used to deposit on the topmost layer of the soil was very fertile, and because of this, agriculture flourished in this part. Okay, so the work that would need the labor of hundreds of people was being done by the kind river all alone. So it is because of the floods, and because of that, the entire land area was filled with fertile soil, that is the clay soil. It was very fertile, which was very much useful to grow crops. So uh, to make the land fertile, maybe many people used to needed to work, but the river Nile alone did this work by making the entire land a fertile land. So this fertile land provided food for the population of the first town in the area. So because of the fertility of that land, people used to grow crops, and because of that it used to provide food for the uh, large population in that area. Okay, so hence, because of the water facilities, through very small canals and wells, they used to provide water for their cropland. So irrigation was uh, very well practiced in this civilization. So Egyptian civilization was prosperous and wealthy. Okay, the Egyptians were expert farmers. Why? Because it is mainly because of the river Nile and the fertile soil where the river Nile used to bring during the rainy season. Uh, the Egyptians were expert farmers. They knew a lot about irrigation. Irrigation is providing water to the croplands through the canals. So in this picture you can observe the Egyptians were they knew a lot about irrigation. So because of this they used to grow crops and they were expert farmers. So not only that, the contribution of Egyptians is even uh, greater. They invented the calendar, which is really helping us even today to measure time, and they had mastered the art of writing. So the art of writing, they used to use symbolic language, and that symbolic language was known as hieroglyphics. The art of writing which was practiced in the Egypt civilization was known as hieroglyphics, uh, writing art. It is a symbolic language. They used to use the symbols to write. So they had mastered the art of writing, and they invented the calendar. Their contribution to the field of architecture is also uh, very important. So let us know about that. So before that, I would like to tell you Osiris was the Egyptian god. It was called as Egyptian god of life and death. They gave more importance life after death. So they believed there is life even after death, and they had many traditions with respect to uh, life after death. So you might have heard about mummies. So what are these mummies? So this practice was practiced during the Egyptian civilization long ago. So Egyptian concept of preserving dead bodies is known as mummies. Let us know more about mummies. So as I told you, Egyptians believed in life after death. So they believed that man had to give an account of his deeds on earth to Osiris, the most powerful god of life and death. So the priest considered that life on earth was temporary. The priest believed that life on this earth, it is temporary, and it was needed only to prepare for the next life. The priest believed that life on this earth is temporary. The permanent life is it is only after the death. So it is needed only, it is just a preparation for the next life. They believe that life on this earth is just a preparation for the future life. Future life is only after death. That is what they believed. So they the whole of the Nile Valley was reserved for the dead. They gave much importance to dead bodies and the concept of death and life after death. So what they used to do, they used to preserve the dead bodies. Okay. So how they used to preserve the dead bodies? They used to smear some chemicals, and they used to wrap the dead body using a thin cloth. See in this picture you can see how they have wrapped the dead body using the thin cloth. uh, first they used to sprinkle some chemicals so that it should not decay. So after that they used to wrap the dead body using a thin cloth, and then the body was preserved. Then the body was protected. They used to keep such bodies in a wooden box called coffin. They used to use different designed coffins, and especially for the kings and higher class people, they used to design very well their coffin boxes. Okay, so it would be kept in a specially designed coffin. After that, the grave was considered the true place of an Egyptian. So the graveyard, the where the eternal sleep one will have, the graveyard was considered as the true place for an Egyptian. So in this picture, you can observe the different designed coffin boxes you can observe in this picture. Okay. So what they used to do, they used to keep all around the dead body, they used to keep certain things which were daily used by such person. So they used to keep a small dolls of a cook and barber also would be kept to fulfill all future needs. As I told you, they believe life after death, so they used to keep all the materials needed to live though they are dead in future, like they used to keep a small doll of a cook and even barber. So this was the practice which was there in the people who lived during that period, that is in Egyptian civilization. And after that, where did they keep those mummies? So they used to keep those mummies. In the beginning, graves were created by carving into the rocks in the hills. They used to uh, uh, carve the rocks in the hills. They used to carve the rocks, and they used to preserve these dead bodies, that is mummies, in that carved rocks in the hills. But the Egyptians moved towards the north, that is a desert land. There they did not find any hills, and there was lack of such hilly areas. So what they used to do to preserve these mummies, to they used to construct the graveyard using the uh, big blocks of stones. They used to construct tall towers. So these tall towers were known as pyramids. So these pyramids were actually the graveyards. These are the tall towers usually built by the people, especially they were built for their pharaohs. Pharaohs was a king of that period. So tall towers were built on these graves using huge blocks of stone in order to protect the eternal sleep of the dead. So near that grave where the mummies were kept, they used to build tall towers using the big blocks of rocks. So these structures are called as pyramids, and they are very famous too. So kings and wealthy people used to build taller and taller towers. The Greeks usually call these structures as pyramids. It was called as pyramids by the Greeks. So as I told you, the kings of Egypt were called as pharaohs. So pharaoh means a person who lives in a palatial house, who lives in a palace, isn't it? Pharaoh is a king. King usually lives in a palace. Then the peasants who had accepted the rule of powerful Osiris now accepted the rule of pharaohs too. So usually there was a hierarchy in the society, and these the high class people, including kings and his family members, and peasants. Peasants used to accept the rule of the pharaohs. So like this, Egyptian civilization had given contribution in the field of architecture. Their pyramids are very famous. Even they had built many temples too, and there are other structures like sphinx you can see in this picture. So let us know about Egypt rulers. So Egypt for 20 century had independent prosperous life. They were ruled by themselves. So after that, so foreign invasion started. So Arabian shepherd tribe called Hyksos attacked, and Egypt was under Hyksos for 500 years. After that, Jews started to control Egypt with the other foreigners too. So then people of Thebes revolt against these foreigners who started to rule them. So once again Egypt became free, okay, in 1700 BCE. So after 1,000 years it came under the rule of Sardanapalus of Assyria. So after that, the Persian emperor Cambyses occupied Egypt in 6th century. Again, Egypt was occupied by a Persian emperor. Then uh, Egypt became Egypt was under Persian control. Then Alexander occupied Persia in 4th century, and Egypt became a province of Macedonia. When a Persian emperor occupied Egypt, then Egypt belonged to them. Then Alexander occupied Persia itself. Then in the 4th century, Egypt became a province of Macedonia. So last came Romans in 30 BCE. So at the last, it was the Romans who ruled Egypt. So during that period, the last Egyptian queen Cleopatra was there. So this is King Alexander. He also took control of Egypt, and the last Egyptian queen was Cleopatra. The last Egyptian queen Cleopatra tried her best to save her country. Okay, it was said that Romans feared her beauty more than her troops because Cleopatra was very beautiful. So she was successful in her attack uh, upon the hearts of the Roman conquerors. However, in 30 BCE, Caesar's successor, his son-in-law Augustus, so did not succumb to her beauty like his father-in-law, but defeated her army. So Caesar's successor Augustus defeated her. Okay, but he did not kill her. He spared her life. He planned to carry her away along with the other spoils of the battle. Cleopatra consumed poison and ended her life. So Cleopatra consumed poison and ended her life. By this, the last Egyptian queen was the life of Egyptian queen also came to end. So from then onwards, Egypt became a province of Rome. So you understood that at last came was Romans in 39 BCE, and after that Egypt became a province of Rome. So this is all about the Egyptian civilization. Let's recall what you understood. So Egyptian civilization flourished in the continent Africa. So towards the towards the northeast of Africa. So this you must know. So which river helped the Egyptian civilization to flourish? It is the river Nile. So that also you must not forget. Then what are the contributions of the Egyptians? Egyptians were uh, experts farmers. They had the knowledge of irrigation. Then their concept of mummy is very famous. They believed life after death, and they had constructed huge tall towers called pyramids to protect their graveyards. So this is what you learnt in this class. Then you also learnt about the Egyptian rulers. The last ruler of Egyptian civilization was Cleopatra, and at the end Egypt became the province of Rome. This is what you learnt in this video. Thank you so much. Have a good day.